Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey, friends, please come join me for a moment and imagine how incredible you'd feel living the unique and distinct life that you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. Well, that's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you it makes a very happy life. And so can my friend Joshua Becker. And he's here to share his unique and distinct journey to his life of significance. But before we bring him on, I'd like to share a poem that we created to thank him for being our guest star today. It's called Becoming Minimalist. And it goes like this. Surrounded by things that weighed him down, Joshua chose to turn his life around. He cleared the noise, adjusted the view, paused long enough for meaning to shine through. With the clutter gone, he reclaimed his days, found the space for presence in humble ways, transformed by joy and time and grace. Purpose could flourish in open space. So listen in close, because his story reveals how letting stuff go helps your soul to heal. You'll learn a better way of life exists when you're inspired by becoming minimalist. Hey, Joshua, welcome to the show.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for that. That was fun.
My pleasure. So why don't you just get us started by telling us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world?
Well, for the past 17 years, I have been inspiring people to own less and live more. To own fewer possessions so that they can focus more of their life on the things that actually matter and bring real joy and meaning and fulfillment into life. That's the short story anyway.
That's the short story. So I love it, first of all, that it's been 17 years of focus. That's pretty admirable. So congrats on that. And then just talk to us about how you're delivering that with writing and coaching and speaking.
Yeah, lots of different avenues, I guess, over the course of 17 years. Primarily, my main life comes through a website, becomingminimalist.com. That was the website that I started. Also, the name of your poem, well done. That was the website that I started 17 years ago when I was introduced to minimalism. And so everything I do runs through that website. Over the past decade and a half, I was a pastor for 15 years before doing what I'm doing now. We have a couple digital magazines that we launched. I've written a number of books. We have a clutter-free app, have an online course that people can go through to help declutter their home. Also have a professional certification course that professional organizers can go through. And so, yeah, and try to speak whenever and wherever I get invited to as well.
Very good. And then lastly, before we move along, what about is in terms of philanthropy and the hope effect? Tell us what how that's what's inspiring you the most from that work that you're doing with the hope effect.
Yeah.
What is it and what's it bringing to you? And
yeah, 10 years ago, my wife and I founded a nonprofit organization called The Hope Effect. Our passion is to change the way the world cares for orphans. I'm never sure how to tell the story too short, other than my wife and I decided to intentionally own less stuff. Started the blog, got a bit of a following. A couple publishers approached us about writing a book, offered us a lot of money to write a book about how buying things won't make you happy. And so my wife and I used the money from those books and all the subsequent books that we have written to start this nonprofit organization. There are 15 million orphan children in the world, and less than 1% of them will ever be adopted. And so how we care for the remaining 99% matters quite a bit. 100 years of research that orphanages are pretty harmful for children in every stage of human development. And so we work in countries that still use orphanages as their primary way to care for children and help them transition into a model where they get to grow up inside of a family instead of inside the walls of an orphanage.
that's great. And so ultimately, then your idea of of having less and living more or doing more. By minimalizing your life, you created the capacity and the funds to pursue philanthropy. Is that stating it correctly?
That is a great way to say it. It was one of the many blessings that came into my life, came into our life when we began owning less. I'm pretty convinced that if you ask a room full of people if they want to be generous, that I don't know, 99% of the hands go up. Like
Yeah,
everyone wants to live a generous life. We just can't seem to find the margin to do so.
yeah,
And yet our houses are 3 times bigger than our houses 50 years ago. 11% of us rent offsite storage. We own 80% of our clothes never get worn over the course of a year. And so there's a lot of margin for giving and
yeah.
generosity, not just money, but time and energy and focus. And owning fewer possessions allows us to live our life for pursuits that are bigger and better and more important.
100% agree. You don't know this probably, but I've been living in a 24-foot Sprinter van for 3.5 years. And I moved out of a 4,500 square foot house.
Wow.
So everything I need by definition is right here.
Yeah.
And it's really liberating.
I was going to say, how freeing does it feel? It feels
Oh,
shockingly freeing.
it's
People
great.
miss out on
Yeah.
that so much.
Sometimes we still own the house. It's a lake house in North Carolina. And just a few weeks ago, I was there for 5 nights, but I ended up staying in my van because it's more comfortable. I
Mm,
got out and I cooked in the kitchen and I hosted in the house and all that, but I went right back to my little safe space in the van where everything is here that I love. And so it is true. You create margin. I like that word.
yeah.
And the margin is money, it's time, it's thought,
Yeah.
awareness. It's great. I love what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, Joshua. So let's do a little mathematics so our friends all around the world can get to know you through our happy formula. It's really simple, but it's super powerful, and it goes like this: power plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with power. What are your personal practices for building up all the power that you need to get things done, whether it's physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, emotionally? In other words, Joshua, what do you do on a regular basis to create all the power you need to take great care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty left in margin to be a giver to others?
Yeah, good question. Lots of healthy habits that improve our lives. For me, I have found that if I'm doing 3 things well, everything else seems to line up pretty well. Number one, if I am doing solitude, meditation, devotions, if I'm doing that, if I am um, removing myself from the noise of the world, if I'm finding a voice from God in my life, like um, where I spend my energy and effort tends to line up. So devotions is an important part of my day. I find that if I am eating well, if I'm fueling myself well, that I have the energy that I need to get through the day and accomplish as much as I can during the day. And then the third thing is exercise. Gary Thomas, he's an author. He wrote a book called Every Body Matters. And he
Mm,
says that our physical bodies are the instruments through which we bring good into the world.
mm,
And
love
I've
that.
always found that to be true and motivating. And so I feel like if I'm getting my spirit and mind right, and if I'm fueling my body, exercising and eating well, then, you still have to put effort into the other habits. You still have to have discipline in those other areas. But if I'm doing those 3 things well, the others tend to take care of themselves.
Let me ask you about this idea of generating power. And you talked about your three: spiritual, nutritional, and exercise. Great three. Um, Two of those are finite, um, earthly energies. When you expend them, you have to replenish them. One of those is supernatural. It's infinite, and that's the spirit and the energy. So talk about the difference of fueling your body with supernatural energy versus the natural earthly energies.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. I had never thought of it quite that way before. And as you were explaining it, the thought that was running through my mind was we are all finite beings. We're all finite creatures with finite resources, finite amount of money and time and energy and mental capacity. Like it's all different for different people, but we all have an end to all of those things. Um,
Hmm.
what I think I find is that the spirituality piece, the meditation and the devotion helps me direct my finite life towards things that actually matter.
Mm.
When you get caught up in advertisements, society, the world, marketing, trends, fads, what this person wants you to do, or where that person's pushing you to go, like
Yeah.
then we start wasting our, I mean, I think that's the right word. Like we just start wasting our days and time and money
Yeah.
pursuing and chasing all those things that don't bring us joy and meaning and
Yeah.
purpose and happiness in life. And so I think that meditation piece helps me direct my finite life towards the things that matter, as well as providing all the supernatural soul strength that God provides in my life.
Yeah. One other aspect of it too, and it's great how you said it, but if you think about love, the more love that I give, the more love I have. Physically, if I go out and I exert my body, that's great and I can feel rewarded, but I need to rest. But when
Hmm.
you love, you have more. That's the supernatural part of it. When you are living the life that you are meant to live in your purpose, you just have this joyful energy that seems to never, you can't wait to get up and do it again. I'm sure you feel that way with your charity and with the work you're doing with those kids. You must just, you're exhausted, but you're excited as can be. You're filled,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it. It's an amazing feeling to go to bed at night knowing that you spent your day on something important.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's discuss my favorite power generating concept. We'll stay on power for a while. It's called a Kaizen state of mind. And it's this beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. And it's so powerful, Joshua, because it's all about mindset, not circumstance. Kaizening life is knowing I can always do something better tomorrow than today. And it creates this gentle, relentless, never ending power that keeps lifting me higher day after day after day. So, Joshua, how does Kaizening your life help you increase your power to continuously become more so you can continue to give more and impact more and more lives?
Yeah, I think that's a helpful way to think about life, and certainly there's a piece of humility in knowing that I can get better. That I haven't reached the full fulfillment of my life, that I can always get better in a lot of different areas. I can be a better husband, I can be a better dad, I can be a better writer, I can speak better, like I can communicate better. There's always something that I can do better. So there's a humble piece of it.
Yeah.
I think what I've found in my life, I I think what I've found in my life, Matt, is that the bigger the dreams that you have for your life, the more passionate you become about improving, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Like it's just in like in my minimalism world, like if my greatest goal in life is to just earn as much money as I possibly can and buy the biggest house and the biggest screen television, like that's a little bit motivating for a while, but there's something far more motivating about, hey, I want to help people, I want to change people's lives, I want to help get kids out of orphanages and into families.
Hmm.
Like the greater the goal, the greater the motivation we find to seek out those incremental improvements in our life and start looking in the right places to find them.
Yeah, yeah. I like how you said, you can get really good, but then there's always something more. And you reminded me of a quote. It says, I can't remember the author, the Japanese author, I think, but it said, "You're perfect just as you are, and you can use a little improvement."
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Indeed.
Okay, let's explore purpose. It's the second part of our happy formula, and I've observed that major life transformations, that great big discovery of purpose often comes from devastation, addiction, abuse, disease, death, disaster. Some awful thing strips a life to its core, resulting in a big and often unexpected change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I've used to discover the purpose of my life using inspiration. So, how about you, Joshua? Is there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the unique and distinct purpose you were meant to live?
Well, my story of minimalism happened 17 years ago. I to know me well, I would take a step before that and say that my faith is the most important thing about me, and that was a decision that I made when I was 5 years old, and my grandpa explained to me what it means to know Jesus. So that was like the first and foremost, most
That was
important
at
part.
age 5.
Yeah, that was the
Wow.
first and foremost, most important part of my life. But 17 years ago, I was in my mid 30s. My wife and I had two kids. My son Salem was 5, and my daughter was 2. And we were living up in Vermont. Saturday morning, I go to clean out my garage after the long winter. My 5-year-old son is begging me to come play with him in the backyard, and I'm like, I can't. I'm working on the garage. I'm working on the garage. I had pulled everything out of the garage. It had taken hours to, clean this thing. And my neighbor, she introduced me to minimalism. We started complaining a little bit. I complaining about my garage. She was complaining about her yard work. And she goes, that's why my daughter's a minimalist. She keeps telling me I don't need to own all this stuff.
Hmm.
And I remember looking at the pile of things in my driveway. I always would have said my things aren't making me happy, right? But out of the corner of my eye, I saw my 5-year-old son swinging alone on the swing set in the backyard. And I suddenly realized that all the possessions I owned weren't just not making me happy, but all the things I owned were actually taking me away from the very thing that did bring me happiness in
Hmm.
life. And so that was the moment where minimalism made sense to me. I think it's what it makes sense to most people. It's one thing to say our possessions aren't making us happy. It's something very different the moment we realize they might actually be taking us away from the very
Yeah.
things that do bring us happiness in life.
Now, I want you've done a pretty good job taking us back to that garage moment, but I want you to explain to our audience, because I find this fascinating when I was doing my research on you. One little ridiculous sentence from a neighbor clicked, and you're still going at it 17 years later. And what I want our audience to understand is why did that hit you so hard? I didn't know the story about your son. That resonates a little bit, but talk to our audience about listening for their purpose and not ignoring it. You could have blown right through that conversation you probably had before, and you might have since, but for some reason that stuck, and you started building your life around it, and creating purpose out of it and giving back to others from it, from that little silly garage comment.
Yeah. So for me, it was for me and my wife. So we began decluttering, minimizing. I could see the benefits of it right away that I wanted to be true in my life. I started a blog that evening, well, actually the Monday. I just wanted to
Oh,
journal what we were getting rid of, what we were keeping. The more we got rid of, the because I was writing about it and journaling, I started to notice benefits really quickly. Like, hey, it's just easier to clean my living room at the end of every day. Hey, as I buy less, I'm saving more money. Like, hey, if I didn't buy 20 pairs of pants, I could buy a few pairs of pants that were nicer quality and fit me just right. And so like I became more grateful and could see generosity on the horizon. And so I just started writing all these benefits down. And man, I don't know how to explain it um, other than it brought such a welcome change into my life that
yeah,
I wanted to introduce other people to it.
yeah,
And I will sometimes get criticism online because online is online. And like, well, who are you to tell me the best way to live my life? Why can't you just let people live their life the way they want to? Like something like that. When I write an article about why owning
yeah,
less might benefit you or something. And
yeah.
my response is always, hey, if I eat at a really good restaurant, I'm going to tell my friends about this
Right,
restaurant. If I read a really good book, I'm going to tell my friends about it. If I go to this beautiful place, I'm going
right.
to tell my friends about it. This is love that we would share things that positively impacted our life with other people. And so as we think about what is my purpose in life, a part of it just has to be, hey, this experience has benefited me, and I'm
Hmm.
going to put myself out there and tell other people about it. I don't have to be mean about it. I don't have to require other people to do it. I don't have to tell people that they're dumb if they don't, but
Right.
in a very winsome, invitational way. Hey, let me share what has positively impacted my life and how you can experience that as well. And it could be any number of things: how you got through a cancer treatment, how you
Yeah.
a faith that you found in your life, a charity that you found, how you started giving or benefiting other people, and the joy that you found from it. And so I think just, human beings aren't all different like we think they are. And if something has brought you joy, then put yourself out there and invite other people to find it as well.
Yeah, I agree. And you don't force anybody to read your articles, do you?
No, no,
So,
no.
so Joshua, just one more thing on this. When in the process, when did you realize that this was something that you're gonna turn into a career, and you were going to be helping uh, hundreds of thousands and millions of people potentially across the world to live better? Not, I think that's what you're after, right? Is living a more fulfilling life, and decluttering and minimalism is just an avenue for that.
Yeah. I don't know if I could point to a specific time. Um, when I started blogging and writing, I never set out to become a full-time writer or an online influencer or write a book. Like, I was just sharing my story.
Hmm.
And slowly but surely, the blog audience grew and the website grew, and I started receiving more questions from people and more comments from people. And I think that that version of, hey, I'm not like doing anything to try to grow this website.
Hmm.
People are just coming to it and resonating with the story and being drawn to it. I think that's when I started to think, hey, there might be something to this that is more outside of myself, if you could put it that way, as opposed to me like forcing it out in the world. It's just like
Yeah,
people were finding and resonating with me. And at some point I had to, like, hey, I think this is a message that I've been put here to share with others.
yeah, yeah, that's great. And I think this one last thing then, because you weren't trying to grow becoming minimalist. You weren't creating a brand. You were just sharing out of love. That enabled you to be completely authentic. You weren't trying to,
Yeah,
you're just saying, hey, this is what's going on. And
yeah,
that's a big lesson that people can learn, is when you really just live your authentic life, you're going to draw people to that are drawn to that. And the people who aren't drawn to that, they're going to be critics anyways.
yeah.
And so I think does that sound about how you did it? It was authentic.
Yep, I would say that exactly. I mean, the first 5 years, it wasn't even my full-time job. It was just my hobby. I didn't have to earn a living from it. Like, I was just trying to help as many people as I possibly could. And so, yes, true and authentic. And I think that's one of the things that minimalism does. As we become content to own
Yeah,
less, it means that our work doesn't have to be for how much money can I get, but legitimately my work can be love and it can be
yeah,
service. And if I charge and I'm able to help more people, then that makes sense. But I just want to do the most good for the most number of people that I can in my life, and trying to accomplish that each day.
yeah. That's great. Thank you for that, Joshua. Now let's take a quick commercial break so our sponsor can spread a little love with our audience.
Are you ready to transform your life? At happyliving.com, we've discovered 4 keys to help you live with purpose, joy, and significance. Unlock your truth with the Happy Quiz. Unlock your happy formula with inspiring stories from the Something Significant Show. Unlock your roadmap to happiness with our free ebook, Making Your Mark of Significance. And unlock your inspired life with our life-changing e-course, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life. This is your time to shine. Go to happyliving.com now and click Unlock the Power of You. Unlock your power. Live your best life. happyliving.com.
Kits for Kids are materials handed out by first responders to children during emergencies. The goal of distributing these kits is to mitigate the emotional trauma children experience during distressing events. These kits also help foster positive interactions between first responders and children, building trust and reducing anxiety. These kits feature toys and activities for children to engage with, providing distractions and stimulation. Models of first responder vehicles help children familiarize themselves with emergency personnel. Additionally, the kits include noise-canceling headphones and raincoats to help comfort children during distressing events. You can directly support Kits for Kids in several ways, including donating directly or sponsoring fundraising, volunteering your company for team building, or referring a law enforcement or first responder department to receive kits. Thank you for your support. Please visit www.wytv7.org for more information.
And we're back, and this is the Something Significant Show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is Joshua Becker, a best-selling author, teacher, and the founder of Becoming Minimalist, whose work has inspired millions to pursue more life by owning less stuff. With clarity, warmth, and deep purpose, Joshua helps people let go of distractions, reclaim their time, and align their lives with what truly matters. His honesty, simplicity, and integrity shine through everything he does, making him a trusted guide for a world longing for significance over excess. Oh, Joshua, I just love the more life, less stuff way of living. And I think you're going to love this article that I found. It's called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. And it says the simple act of giving can become a gateway to discovering your reason for being on the planet. It says science confirms that when we give our time and our talents and our treasure, it doesn't just help others, but it transforms us too. It helps us overcome obstacles. It helps us find meaning, and it helps us discover our purpose. So I updated our formula. Power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So how about you, Joshua? Has giving your time, talents, and treasures been a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting through hardships and for bringing real meaning into your life?
Well, for sure. I think that's one of the things that minimalism has done is it's provided more opportunity and more capacity to give and to think about giving, to live a life that isn't about acquiring for myself, but living for others and serving for others. When we were starting the Hope Effect, we did a tour of a couple of different orphanages, and one we visited in Mexico. And the host, the director, was walking us around and talked about how he had like church groups and school groups come and stay on the campus. And we asked, oh, and then they would like play with the kids. And he goes, no, they would go into town and they'll teach English or they'll build a home or a church or a school or something. He goes, as a matter of fact, we send our orphans with the groups into the city to build houses. And then he said this, he said, because the only way to overcome the victim mindset in your life is to begin serving other people. And I've always thought, so true. Like, here's these kids, they've been through so much, like more than anyone should ever have to go through. But when they see that they can give and they can help others and that they can benefit, improve the lives of other people, then that can't help but build their self-esteem and self-worth and see how much they have to give to the world.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. All right. So, well, the science tells us that giving to others helps bring real meaning to our lives. And the joy that we feel when we're doing work that creates value for others, that confirms it. But there's something more to it than just the giving, Joshua. You see, I believe that the magic of life comes when you're giving from living in your purpose, because that's where the joy flows, and not just to the receiver, but to the giver too. And amazingly, even to people witnessing the giving. So Joshua, I'd love our audience to witness what that magic looks like in your life. So please sit back, open your heart, and have a listen to what people are saying about the impact you're making in their lives because you're giving from living in your purpose. One person told me, when some people reach Joshua's level of success, they guard it jealously. In contrast, I've noticed over the years how Joshua shines the spotlight on other up and coming people in his space. He embodies the value created by not holding on to things, but rather sharing them with others. Another said, what I really appreciate about Joshua is the combination of sincerity and authenticity with which he approaches life. And another said, if you ever wanted to know how minimalism can bring more value into your life, Joshua is the person to learn from. Others said, Joshua Becker's message has been a powerful influence in my life. He's engaging, entertaining, a riveting speaker with genuine presence. Presence, not presence. Presence. Generous, encouraging, an absolute pleasure to work with. Curious, graceful, highly organized. The 3 H's, honest, humble, and humorous. He's kind, inspiring, and passionate. He's unique. He's positive. He spoke directly to my heart. Joshua is the kind of person you want to be around. And finally, this person said simply, he exceeded all our expectations. So Joshua, how does all that incredible love make you feel?
Wow. Very, thank you. Thank you. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Very nice. Very impressive. Impressive list you have there.
Yeah, well, you've done it, my friend. And folks, that's what this show is all about. Just that expression on Joshua's face, that humility. We're here, Joshua and me, and all our guest stars, to encourage you, our listeners, to find that same magic in your lives. It's available for you. It's available for everyone. That's what I believe. And it comes from this great, big, happy circle. Giving your time, talents, and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering your purpose. And giving from living in your purpose brings profound joy to your life and to the lives of those around you too. So it seems that giving leads to purpose and giving from purpose leads to joy. So, Joshua, if I'm going to capture the entire exponential power of our happy formula, I better tweak it a tiny bit more to power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you?
I think so. I think so. I think I like the word happy. When I think of happiness to the third power, I don't know what you mean by it entirely, but I think of meaning and fulfillment and significance, and that when we find those things, I think happiness happiness arrives shortly after we begin chasing purpose and meaning and fulfillment.
And your instinct is exactly right. It's joy. It's something beyond happy.
Yeah.
But you know, when you own happyliving.com, that's the brand, Joshua. That's the brand.
It's a good one.
Okay. All right, my friend, let's wrap things up the lightning round. We'll go from math to English. I love the power of words and the capacity for great quotes to change lives. So I'm going to read a few that reminded me of your clarity, your courage, and your minimalist spirit. And I'm going to ask you to tell us what they mean to you. Give us the first thing that pops to mind, Joshua, the first thought, not just first words, but the first thoughts, because we call this a lightning round. So here we go. This first one's one of your own. And you've said, life's most important pursuits are often buried under the things that distract us most.
That is so true. The title of my first book, The More of Less, the subtitle is Finding the Life You Want Under Everything You Own. That was my story in the garage, that I was taking care of all of my possessions, but in reality, I wanted to be spending time with my son.
Yeah, that's great. I found this one a little while ago, and before I even knew who you were, but I think you're going to love this. It's from Sir Thomas Malory, and he said, enough is as good as a feast.
Yeah, that is good. Enough is a very relative term. I think most of us in our lives passed enough a long time ago, and we have enough house and we have enough clothing, and a lot of times we even have enough money, but we continue to keep chasing more for some reason.
Yeah.
I think once we discover that we have enough, a brand new world of opportunity opens up to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned a long time ago, you're talking about your garage and the things you haven't, 80% of your clothes you haven't worn, put them out, give them away, and now they're out into circulation, and you just basically given yourself a gift by decluttering and recirculated something of real value to other people.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
true, so true. Once we start giving, we start seeing those needs a lot more than
Yeah,
before.
right on. This is from Henry David Thoreau, and he said, "Our life is frittered away. Our life is frittered away by detail. Simplify, simplify."
Yeah, simplicity is about defining what is most important and keeping that as the. Uh, People ask the difference between simple living and minimalism, and I always say minimalism is about owning less. Simple living is about getting clear on your purpose and focusing as much of your life around those things. And so when I think of simplicity, I think I want to live a focused life on the thing that matters most.
Yeah, that's good. This is from Soren Kierkegaard, who said, "Purity of heart is to will one thing."
Um, the world will grab our hands, and the world will try to tell us all the things that are important. This new television series is important. This new technological advancement is important. But in reality, our hearts speak to us in a far truer voice. And so at some point, we need to um, step away from the noise of the world so we can let our heart and let God speak to us about what is most important.
Very good. From Michelangelo, one of my all-time favorites, this quote, "The sculpture is already complete within the marble block before I start my work. It's already there. I just have to chisel away the unnecessary rock."
I all I can think of is I just read the biography of Leonardo da Vinci, and apparently those two didn't like each other and got in a lot of arguments. So that's literally that's all I was thinking about was those two going back and forth and
Uh,
insulting each other on their artistic talent and skill. But yeah, it's so true. You know, I think that we have our gifts and we have our passions and we have our talents, and I think the sweet spot in life is when our talents and our passions meet the needs of the world. And so it takes a lot of chiseling away of some of those other pursuits and desires to find where that intersection truly lies.
yeah. This is the last one. It's our show anchor from Goff, and he said, "Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now."
Yeah. Genius, power, and magic. Is that what was that the three
Genius,
things?
power, and magic. Yeah, come from boldness.
It is so true, and I mean, to me that quote means get started. Like have confidence in yourself, know that you can bring good into the world. When you believe that, and when you start taking those small steps towards it, the genius, power, and magic show up.
Yeah. And you know what's amazing, folks, is just once you don't have to complete the journey. Once you just take the first step of the journey, you already feel better, don't you, Joshua?
Yeah.
It's instant.
Yeah. And according to the quote, which I think is so true, like we don't think we have the genius or the power or the magic. We can't possibly see the entire staircase ahead of us. But once you start taking the step, right? Like once you find the boldness to take that first step and then the second step, I guess that's the story of becoming minimalist. Like I just
Yeah.
started the blog. I didn't know what it was going to become. I
Yeah.
just started writing about what was happening in my life. And as other people found me, I started to find not just the boldness, but okay, here's the magic way to talk about this. Here's the skill
Yeah.
and the talent in my life to accomplish it. But we don't recognize it or even see it and discover it till we find that boldness.
Yep, and go one step further, right back to Michelangelo and the statue. If you're listening, you don't have to become more. You have to just discover the you that's in that marble block. It's already there. That's what he's saying. It's not adding more to your life. It's becoming your authentic self.
That's great. That's good.
Very, very good. All right, Joshua, those quotes aren't just fancy words. They reflect the faith, clarity, and intentional focus that you bring to the world, and they reinforce the freedom you model the courage to let go of the unnecessary so we can live for what truly matters. So thank you. And now, my friends, I have a request that truly matters for you. If Joshua's story has stirred something in you, if it lifted your spirit, challenged your thinking, or inspired some of your own minimalist energy, then I invite you to share that energy with the incredible team at WITV7 who make this show possible. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage people in need. Every gift matters, big and small. With your support and their tireless work, lives are being transformed, and our circle of love keeps expanding. So donate today, because it'll do good and it'll make you feel good too. Joshua, I love the clarity and calm conviction that you bring to every conversation, and I admire the way you transformed a simple moment in your garage into a global movement that's helped millions find freedom, purpose, and peace. And I'm super happy that you've shared your intentional, generous, and God-centered spirit with us today. Will you please take a moment or two and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
Thank you so much for having me on and the opportunity to share the story. Our lives are too valuable to waste chasing and accumulating material possessions. Dream bigger dreams for your life.
Very good. Thank you, Joshua. And friends, it's because of stories like Joshua's and listeners like you that we've been named one of the top 100 life purpose podcasts worldwide, currently ranked at 17th. So thank you. I appreciate your support for our mission and for sharing these stories of inspiration and purpose. I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like Joshua and keep reaching folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. And most especially, thank you, listeners and viewers. You'll find links to all things Joshua Becker. Find him, friend him, explore the life-changing work he shares through Becoming Minimalist. Visit his website for articles that spark clarity and purpose. Browse his books for practical, heart-centered guidance. Join his online community for encouragement. And follow his social channels for daily inspiration to live with less and become more. You'll find all the links in our show notes. And finally, from me to you, dear friends, I love you, and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So go to happyliving.com right now and click Unlock Here and start unlocking the life you are meant to live, one that's filled with purpose, joy, and real significance. And once you start the unlocking, think about what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show. And we're out.